I cried because, you know, it wasn't the boy that failed me.
Now at 5, gathering to mourn and to protest. Outrage builds after the Hunter High mass shooter gets his sentence. Why family and friends say the justice system fell short. Plus,
honestly, the bill should be called the Disrespect for Marriage Act.
This is one less anxiety.
the landmark bill clears Congress. We break down Utah representative votes on same-sex marriage, why one lawmaker changed his stance. And
it gives us a good index of how healthy the deer is.
Holding on for dear life, ABC4 is there for the unique health screening for doe and fawn, how Utah's wildlife gets their yearly checkup.
Live, we're there for you. ABC4 News at 5 starts now.
Good evening, I'm Emily Flores.
And I'm Glenn Mills. Thanks so much for joining us. We do begin with a SWAT standoff in Tooele, sending neighbors into hiding, coming to an end. Police telling us that they responded to this scene around 12:35 after reports of a man allegedly pointing a gun at 2 people before running into his home in the area of Deer Hollow and Skyline Drive and firing what police believe was around 20 shots. Now that man is in custody, and police say no one was injured, including the suspect.
It was a multi-county jurisdictional effort able to resolve this peacefully.
Police telling us 4 agencies and SWAT teams working to bring this situation to a close. They were on scene for hours before what they say is this best case scenario ending. Now to a major update out of Idaho. The married couple accused of double murder heading to trial in April.
The 10-week conjoined trial in the deaths of Lori Vallow Daybell's 2 children and Chad Daybell's first wife has a new start date after years of delays. Now, the couple together for the first time since Lori was again found mentally competent to stand trial a few weeks ago.
No cameras were allowed in the courtroom, but East Idaho News reporting the 2 didn't even so much as glance at each other. The judge will hear Lori's defense argument against the death penalty at a later time.
All right, switching gears now. Let's head over for a first look at the forecast on this Thursday.
Chief Meteorologist Lana Brophy standing by with the very latest, and what a storm that came through, huh, Lana?
It was a quick mover, and now we've got the sunshine that was out there today, but it is still chilly. We start with that live look from our Colonial Flag Tower camera here in Salt Lake with clear skies. We cleared the air with that storm as well. Temperatures sitting in the mid-30s. It was just a skiff of snow in some locations, but measurable moisture in others. Harriman picking up 3.8 inches. Those cold temperatures allowed it to accumulate and make the roads real rough. 3.2 in Sandy. University of Utah got over 2, 1.7 at Salt Lake International. Measurable moisture is a good thing. Right now, temperatures dropping into the 20s in Cache Valley, 30s along the Wasatch Front, freezing in Provo, and 47 in St. George. Today is a brief break from the active storm pattern we've been seeing, but that area of high pressure, well, it doesn't stick around very long. Increasing clouds are on the way as another storm will target the end of our work week. That means we've got commute issues as we take a look at the compromised commute potential. It's for northern Utah. I'm going to break down the new weather alert coming up in just a few minutes, but you can see in yellow exactly where we expect some road slush. Another quick hitter. We look at the timing and how much to expect coming up in my full forecast. Glenn, Emily, over to you.
Thanks so much, Alana. Oh dear, that's what you might have said if you saw this scene playing out behind us today. Deer taking flight as Utah's Division of Wildlife Resources conducts the yearly checkup of the population. And it all starts with a helicopter ride.
Okay, ABC4's Ali O'Rulian witnessing this all. Annual process is what it is. Ali reports at the Hardware Wildlife Management area in Cache County to walk us through just how this works.
It's a bird, it's a plane, it's a deer. DWR capturing deer and flying them to Hardware Wildlife Management area to get their all-inclusive yearly checkup.
It gives us a good index of how healthy the deer is, how healthy the range was through the summer, and how well it will be able to survive through the winter.
DWR weighs the deer, measures them, checks their fat and muscle content, gives them shots, checks for diseases, do blood work, and more. And though some deer like the doctors more than others, it's necessary for the deer and the environment.
We can't just let the animals be out on the landscape and not know what's going on with them. You know, in order to help the habitat make it the best it can be for the animals, We need to have data to do that.
And if you're asking yourself, why the helicopter? DWR says it's easier, safer, and not detrimental to the deer.
A short period of stress to the animal typically doesn't affect these deer really at all.
The deer captured either have collars or receive collars they can track year-round
to monitor survival and migration movements.
After all of the testing, the deer are let go. DWR is left with plenty of data to improve wildlife conditions in our state.
We're trying to stay right on top of how are the populations doing and what can we do? Can things be done to make habitat things better for the deer?
In Cache County, I'm Allie O'Rulian, ABC 4 News.
All right, thank you, Allie. And in a turn of events, we are learning one of the helicopters on the Wildlife Roundup mission this morning crashed into the La Salle Mountains in northeast San Juan County. Remarkably, deputies say the 3 people on board when the plane went down will walk away from the scene without injury. A witness reporting a helicopter falling down from a mountain peak around 11 this morning. No word on whether those aboard are off the mountain. At this point, rough, steep terrain keeping rescuers from reaching them.
Have you ever seen a dead animal on the side of the road and then wondered if you should do anything about it?
Yes, I have thought that. Well, you should, and now you can. Utah's Division of Wildlife Resources is making the process a whole lot easier. The Utah Roadkill Reporter app out today gets information on wildlife collisions directly to the people who can clear the carcasses away and prevent any further hazards to drivers. Now DWR is working with UDOT to cut down these kinds of crashes overall, building more wildlife crossings like the viral bridge over Parley's Canyon. But in the meantime, the app aims to reduce harm to humans on the road.
Family members of the victims of the Hunter High School shooting back in January holding a vigil right now. They say justice was not served after the recent sentencing of the shooter.
ABC4 reporter Kate Garner joining us live from that vigil in Salt Lake City this evening. And Kate, what are people saying out there?
Yeah, just as Glenn was saying, they're saying this wasn't just. You can hear them right now. They are just starting to chant once again, no justice, no peace. They don't believe this sentence was just that, just. And they hope that they'll see some change in the judicial system here in Utah. Now, of course, this is all happening after that shooting that Glenn mentioned that happened in January, after a 15-year-old was given a plea deal in that shooting, which killed a 15-year-old, Paul Tahi, and 14-year-old, Tivani Lopati. Both of them died, and he also injured a 15-year-old, Ephraim Asiata. Their families say this plea deal is just a slap on the wrist, and they don't want to see the shooter necessarily in jail for life, but they say 6 years or until he's 21 just doesn't give them the closure for losing loved ones.
Until we actually get, somebody to actually, sit there and fight for what's right, then this is what's going to continue to happen, And if this is what's going to bring light of my son's death, then this is what I want to do.
Now, charging documents show that the shooter was bullied by the victims. I spoke to one of the victims' moms and cousins today. Both of them tell me that they never heard anything about bullying from the school. Along with the judicial system changing, they hope to see change within Utah school systems. Reporting live in Salt Lake City, Kate Garner, ABC4 News.
All right, thank you, Kate. Well, the Department of Public Safety offering insight on hate crimes in the state. New stats out today saying Utah saw 96 hate crimes in 2021, 31 of those happening in the month of June alone, which is Pride Month celebrating the LGBTQ+ community. DPS reports the most common hate crime was destruction and vandalism of property, and most of these crimes were anti-LGBTQ+, anti-Hispanic or Latino, anti-Black, anti-Asian, and anti-Mormon.
The motion is adopted. I was emotional, I'm sorry.
Same-sex and interracial marriage protections now heading to the president's desk and expected to become law. The Respect for Marriage Act officially clearing Congress today after the House of Representatives votes to pass it. 3 of Utah's Republican congressmen voting yes. In the meantime, Representative Burgess Owens did not vote yes or no, saying the Senate amendment to protect religious liberty does not go far enough. He says his decision, as the only representative in the House to vote present, signals a warning beacon that the war is far from won. Owens did vote in favor of the same bill over the summer before the Senate added the Religious Liberties Amendment.
Governor Spencer Cox releasing a few details from his 2024 budget proposal ahead of the full release tomorrow. Cox and Lieutenant Governor Deidre Henderson recommending the state cut back taxes by $1 billion and increase the salaries of every teacher in the state. Their proposal would reduce the income tax rate, property taxes, and add exemptions. And teachers would see a $4,600 salary increase plus $1,400 worth of benefits.
Basically, what we need is just support for these concepts. We have the funding to do it this year.
Tomorrow, the governor releasing a full breakdown of his proposed budget for the 2024 fiscal year. It's up to the legislature to approve a final budget.
The U.S. House voting to roll back the COVID-19 vaccine mandate for military. Utah Governor Spencer Cox writing a letter to the Secretary of Defense back in August on behalf of the unvaccinated members of the Utah National Guard and those who hope to become members, saying the cost of the mandate is the loss of, quote, soldiers our country desperately needs. Many Republicans in the House voting to pass the National Defense Authorization Act, providing tens of billions to the U.S. military after Democrats agreed to scrap that vaccine requirement. That bill now heading to the Senate.
Still ahead, we are getting a behind-the-scenes look at how the heroes of the holiday season make Christmas happen. We'll hear how postal workers prep for the busiest week of the year.
And there's that live look in St. George. Gorgeous shot there. Temperatures sitting at 47 degrees. Clear skies in Washington County. We've also seen plenty of sunshine in the north. It does not last. The reason why in Utah's most accurate forecast.